DLC.
My playlist is basically all Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. This is a game I have been very much looking forward to. I am an unapologetic fan of Avatar as a movies franchise. I love them. They're two of my favorite movies ever. People force.
I lost your audio. Can you hear him? Is it just me?
Just you and us.
It's because it's not in Fortnite. You got muted, Jeff.
I have a capacitive thing, mute button, and it literally a cord touched it and not my finger. Anyway,
Incredible.
Okay, you're back. I can hear you.
How much did you hear me say?
You're an abashed Avatar fan. You love the movies, hate this game.
I love the Avatar films. For some reason, people make fun of that. I don't know why, despite the fact that these movies have made more money than anything else. It is somehow worthy of contempt and scorn from many, but I don't care. I love these movies very much. They're among my favorite movies experiences of all time. So I was very much looking forward to this. Ubisoft, when they do open world games, I tend to like them. I think Far Cry 2 was an early favorite open world game for me. I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey, is one of my favorite games of all time. The list goes on and on. So marry those two things together, I'm excited. And this was, right at the end of the season of all these great games coming out. I was excited, but it was like, is it going to come in too late to be really one of the best games of the year? It's making a play for my top 5, Christian. I don't know if it's going to make it. It has some significant flaws, but it is making a play for my top 5. I will say the first thing you need to talk about when it comes to Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, I believe in a year of some of the most beautiful games we've ever seen, I think this is the most beautiful video game I have ever played. Full stop. This is, if you can play this game on high enough settings. I'm playing on a PC. I have a beefy GP. I'm playing this game on the medium settings, not ultra, not unobtainium settings. I am playing on the medium settings, and it is gobsmacking how gorgeous this game is. Sumptuous. I mean, the colors, if you've seen these movies, you know that this alien world is colorful. It is not just blue. I hear your jokes already, listener. Yes, the characters are blue, but the world itself is these wonderful blues and greens and pinks and this sort of neon, and it's got that bioluminescent look at night. And but the density of the foliage and the way this world looks and feels is absolutely next level. It feels to me like I've never seen an open game world look like this, have so much in it. And there's a verticality to the world that is so much fun. Obviously, if you know anything about Pandora, the fictional world that the Avatar game films take place in, they have things like floating mountains where there are these tall boulders that are just floating in the air. That is in the game. They have these tall trees, and the Na'vi, the alien creatures in Avatar, run along the trees. They are up in the trees. They're high, and there's scenes in the films where they're falling through the trees and hitting leaves and stuff. You do all of that, and the game is built with this verticality in mind. So it is a first-person game. There's no option to go into third person, much to my chagrin. But they do such a good job of putting you in that world and making the traversal through the world so much fun. So much fun. You are a 9-foot tall, 10-foot tall alien creature with superhuman strength. And the game really conveys that. When you're fighting against the humans, you tower over them. The game starts in a human structure that you've been captured in, and you have to duck down through doorways, and your tower, you feel like this enormous thing, which is a really cool feeling. And the sense of scale is always present. But then when you're out in the vastness of the jungle, this wonderful Pandoran wilderness, you are climbing things, you're leaping, you're running constantly, and it has this kind of parkour sort of what's the zombie game that does a lot of parkour? Just had a sequel recently. Anyway,
Dying Light,
yes. Kind of reminiscent of that to me, which is a first-person game where you do parkour, and the parkour is really fun in Dying Light games. I always felt like I was in control, leaping, grabbing on things. They do this awesome stuff where there are these little plants that if you run into them, there's plants all over the place that are dangerous, that'll like explode or shoot gas in the air or have electricity on them. So you have to kind of be aware of what you're moving through. But there's also a kind of plant that when you run into it, it bursts into this mist that invigorates the Na'vi. So it gives you a burst of speed, so you can like chain together as you're running along these massive tree trunks that are sort of horizontal and weaving through the environment. You're running along and hitting that and getting bursts of speed and leaping. And very early in the game, you get like a sort of modified double jump. It's not a true like Mario double jump or platformer double jump. It's you have to do it with some finesse, and you can't wait to the last minute to do the double jump. You have to sort of chain it, and you're like jumping and bounding through the environment and double jumping and leaping off these vines and going up, and you can run, and they're like these hanging rope vines that you can push, hold a button, and it'll pull you up. And so you're like run, leap, grab onto it, pull you up. Like the best moments of Jedi Survivor, where you're kind of in that Prince of Persia, flow state. I felt like I was in that so often in Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. And that is just pure joy for me. I love great traversal in games. And I felt like, leaping up, climbing things. You're always going higher and doing things up there, and you can leap off of stuff. And then, you can literally hit these giant leaves as you go down, and it'll slow your descent, and there's a perk that you can get later on where you get no fall damage at all. So you can just leap off of things. But then very early in the game, I say to Guerrilla Games, the developers of Horizon Forbidden West, very early in the game, you get a flying mount, which bugged me that Horizon gives it to you in like the last 10 minutes of the game. It's like, hey, flying mount, bye. And you're like, wait, but I want to use it. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora gives you a flying mount very early in the game and puts no restrictions on it. You've just got this flying mount now. You can do the stuff from the movie, which is leap off of something, you start falling, you push the button, and the flying mount comes underneath you, catches you, and you're just flying. It's so satisfying and fun. And the quest to get the flying mount, the Ikran from Avatar, if you remember any of the first movie, getting the Ikran is like a big deal. You bond with it, and they ascend these floating islands, these floating rocks in the sky, and you get to the very top, to the roost, and you have to bond with your Ikran and tame it. You do that quest in this game, and the ascent up the thing to get there is so rad. It's so much fun. The view is amazing. The game looks incredible, and you're leaping and bounding and flying off of things. There's these trees that like throw you and catapult you, and you're catching stuff. You're doing that like Prince of Persia, Jedi Survivor style fun platforming in the most beautiful environment I've ever seen in a video game, period.
You're giving me a lot of compelling reasons to play this video game, and I did not see the last Avatar movie. So
I mean, I know there's a lot of people that harbor a real hatred for this IP. It has always baffled me as to why, and people are like, it's derivative. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, it gave me some of the most fun moments in a cinema I've ever had.
Who am I to argue with James Cameron? Did
exactly.
you direct
Who are any
Terminator
of us?
2? Did any one of you direct Terminator 2? No. Boom. So there you go.
Yes. Who are any of us? I will say, I think the combat in this game is super fun. I mean, it's a first-person shooter, but you you've got these like super overpowered, cool things that you can do. You get a variety of bows, and also you have the human weapons. Like you can use a machine gun, but you've got this cool like lacrosse thing. It's like a lacrosse, I don't know, racket. Do they call them rackets? I don't know what they call them. But you can lob these grenades. There's all kinds of crafting. There's food plays a huge role in the game. They do a really interesting thing with your health where you have two bars. You have a bar of health and you have a bar of how fed you are, how nourished you are. And if you maintain a nourishment, if you're feeding yourself, then your health will replenish on its own. But if you haven't eaten in a while, your health will not replenish, which is such a cool idea. I've never seen anybody do that before. But also you can craft all these recipes that give you bonuses and boons and stat buffs. And, it's awesome. If you're not into the fiction of this world, I don't think you'll like it as much as me, but I think fundamentally it is a really excellently made video game in what is undoubtedly the most exquisite, beautiful visuals all year. In a year, we have talked about how Cyberpunk 2077 looks now, how Alan Wake 2 looks now. There are a lot of contenders for the most beautiful video game of the year. I don't think anyone stands up to what Avatar Frontiers of Pandora looks like. The Snowdrop engine is incredible. And I mean, I'm having a blast. I happen to really like the universe. You're going to be talking to a lot of Na'vi, right? You are a Na'vi. You're going to be talking to a lot of Na'vi. A lot of the game is very heavy-handed. Nature is beautiful and worth cherishing. Pollution is bad. You go into these areas where things are polluted and it's all desaturated. This vibrant, beautiful, colorful world you've been running through is desaturated. Everything is gross and oozing bad stuff. And you can, destroy the polluting towers that are shooting black smoke into the sky. And then it comes back and is, colorful again. You tame animals, you treat them well. It's very heavy handed in its messaging about that stuff. It doesn't bother me. I think it's cool, super fun. You tame animals, you can ride. There's other mounts that you can get. It does all of the late stage Far Cry stuff that I like, that I think Ubisoft does really, really well, without that element of the late Far Cry games that have always put me off, which is I got to hear, I got to experience this kind of ugly, distasteful stuff.
Yeah, here's some weird mean guy to tell me that I suck and that everything I believe in is stupid.
Yes.
Like, I'd rather have the sort of corny environmentalism of Avatar. I absolutely would. You said, now you've completely sold me. I feel the same way about Far Cry, where it's like, I like these gameplay loops, but I do not like the whole thing you got going on there,
Yeah.
So I'll
I
take
agree.
it.
And this is like the total solution to that. It does really smart things. You don't get XP for killing anything. Nothing. Even the bad humans, you don't get XP there's no XP. There's no killing something gets you XP. No. Your level in the game is based on a combination of the things you have accomplished and the gear that you are wearing.
Interesting.
So upgrading your gear is always the primary motivation, and you can do that in a number of ways. Crafting it, completing quests will give you better gear, and it's also melded in with like the skills that you get. So you get skill points, and you can put them into all these different ways to get improve your character. Better hunter, better more health, more damage, all kinds of different things. So that contributes to your level as well. So there's levels of quest, and there's a level that you have, but it's not based on XP. And the other cool thing is many of the best skills that you can get aren't just given to you. You have to go out into the world and find a thing that gets you that skill. So there's like these really cool next level skills like that no fall damage one. That's you go to a place and you acquire that at that specific place, which is, I love that. It forces you to explore and get out into the world. So talked at length about all the things I love about this game. And I really think it's making a play for one of my favorite games of the year. I have a lot more left to play of it. But I will say there are a couple of really glaring flaws that it has.
Yeah, it's not
One of them.
It's not in Fortnite. Put it in Fortnite.
It's not in
you want me to
Fortnite.
play
Yeah.
it? Put it in Fortnite.
Yeah. One of them is, and I don't understand this one, but every transition the game makes into going to a cutscene, and early on there's a lot of those, but there's a lot throughout where you'll go up to somebody and it'll transition to a cutscene and you'll be talking to them or something will happen, or whatever. It fades to black before it does that. I don't know if that's to mask a load or what it's doing, but it's jarring and it's unfortunate because most games these days are just sort of seamless. When you're in first person mode, you walk up, it doesn't fade to black and then cut to a cinematic angle. You're still in first person. It just sort of fades to black and comes back. And it really bugs me and it's a bummer. The bigger issue that I think is the biggest flaw of this game is the map and the amount of times you have to figure out where you're going. It doesn't automatically put a quest marker in your HUD. You have the Navi senses that you have to activate. And then that will like show you an indicator of where you're headed, but it fades out extremely fast. So I'm like constantly just spamming that button of like Navi senses. Okay, I see it. Navi senses. Okay, I see it for a little Navi senses. And it's like, why are you making me do that? Especially because it's a very bare HUD, which I like because the game is vibrant and beautiful and I just want to be in the world. But it does have a little compass at the top, sort of similar to like a Bethesda game like Starfield or Skyrim, where there's a little compass at the top. But your main quest markers aren't on the compass. And I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. It's like, just put it there.
There's got to be a better way to gamify also being at one with nature, right? Like the Navi are supposed to be. Like at least like maybe highlight something in the distance that you can like see visually with your eyes. Like not even have to look towards the compass, right? Just keep lighting the way.
The Ghost of
like
Tsushima.
Yeah.
Give me that
or
wind
Spider-Man
trail
2.
or something.
Like Spider-Man 2 does that so well too, where it's like you can see the thing in the distance. Yeah, it's a bummer. And there's other cool stuff like you have to do these investigations at a certain point, and they can be a little frustrating because you'll see clues and you can find the clues, but you have to look at them in the right order. But it's hard to know what it's not intuitive so it's a lot of just trial and error of like, okay, I looked at it in the wrong order. And the character will be like, no, that's not it. It's like, well, but anyway, so there's a few glaring little frustrations with it. But overall, I am blown away by Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. I am inclined to like this universe, but I think this game, it clearly the money is on the screen. It's beautiful. It's fun to be in that world. It's fun to move in that world. The stuff you're doing is cool. Flying on your Ikron is amazing. The combat's super fun and satisfying. I'm into it. And I will say the way I'm playing this is through Ubisoft Connect or Ubisoft Plus or whatever it's called, $15. And I'm playing this game for a month. I didn't have to pay $70 for it. I'm paying. Will I play it longer than a month? I don't know. But even if I play it for 2 months, $30. So that's a little tip from me.